My name is Dan Ba, and I am one of the Precision Business Planning Specialists at AgSolver. I want to thank you for joining our October 12th Intermediate Planning webinar. Today we're going to be going over selecting crop type for 2017. And to give you an overview of our agenda for today, we're going to select a field where we're going to be looking at two different crop types within 2017 and selecting the best crop type, whether that be corn or soybeans in 2017 to be most profitable. And we will work zones and work scenarios representing the standard assumptions and associated costs based off of those specific crops, and then we'll compare return on investment and zones. And then we'll follow up with any questions anyone might have. So I want to mention that we are in Q&A mode, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to type your response in the chat box below my contact information where you see my email address, djba@agsolver.com or at support@agsolver.com. And then you can call me on my cell phone. My cell phone number is 319-238-1978. Now we'll hop right into Profit Zone Manager. So in the field that we are going to be looking at in today's webinar is actually going to be the grandma's field. And so the reason why we're looking at two different crops for this field, one, we want to see which crop is going to be most profitable for us in 2017. This past year it was in soybean production. So we actually planted a rye cover crop to that, about 2 weeks ago. And so it was one of the first fields that we picked. And so we have 2016, we have the satellite yield data, and then I adjusted the upper and lower yield bounds. And then in 2015, we had corn production on this field. And so another reason why we're looking at this, over the years we have expanded our land base. And so we are also considering about building a bin, or should we produce soybeans on this field and sell the soybean crop straight out of the field to the local co-op, or produce corn on this field and add an additional bin for storage at our grain drying and handling site. So what we're first going to do is create a 2017 planning scenario. And how we will do that, we will copy a scenario. And at first we will base it off of our actual production 2015 yields. We're going to name this 2017 corn crop. We're going to click Save, and what we are doing is we are creating a carbon copy of that actual production 2015 corn scenario and just renaming it, and then we will adjust and edit the crop budgets. So 2017 corn crop using 2015 data scenario is now created. Next, we are going to adjust the budget. For commodity price, at the local ethanol plant, cash bids for 2017 are at $3.54 for next year. And so we are going to use $3.54 as our starting point, and then once we market grain, we will adjust those costs accordingly. Equipment cost, that is actually going to, so we upgraded our anhydrous, so anhydrous application is now going to be $8. Spraying, that's going to be $16. Combine is going to be $20. Just updating our cost, grain cart is now going to be $6. Seed cost, that's going to be right in there at the $130 per acre. Fertilizer, we're actually taking that up, be $150 an acre. Herbicide, insecticide, it's at 53. Insurance, we're dropping back to 80%, so $18 an acre. Interest, $4. Grain drying, handling, and hauling, we're going to leave that at $30 again. Land is still $275. Labor at $25. So that's our 2017 crop budget for on the corn production side. So we can either save that to a crop budget template or just save that. We're just going to save this for right now. So looking at this 116 acre field, if we produce 109 bushels per acre again, we're actually going to be losing about $5.25 return on investment. We're almost breaking even. Our production efficiency is 280 bushels per $1,000 spent, and our overall total field profit is at negative $600. So almost breaking even on this. So the next scenario that we're going to create is 2017 soybean production. We'll name this 2017 soybean production. And base it off of 16 soybean production. Now we will go in and edit our budget for our soybean crop, projected soybean crop. So we're going to drop commodity price to $9.30 to start off with. And on our equipment side, so we will delete these subcategories. For this, on the equipment side, our cost for soybeans is actually $43. $43 an acre. Seed cost. With seed treatment, we're expecting about $70 per acre. Fertilizer, that's actually at $40. Herbicide and insecticide. In this area, we have resistant water hemp. So our application is actually going to be $70. We also, we run also a foliar feed and fungicide. So that's added in there also. Insurance on soybeans, that's going to be $18, or actually $16. Interest, $3. Actually, grain drying, handling, and hauling. We just have our hauling costs, or actually, that's at 0. Land, that's at $250. Labor, overhead, home, personal, entered in there. Crop budget on the 2017 corn production side, or soybean production side, excuse me. I just want to look at our land cost for 2017 corn crop. Make sure that's, actually, we will adjust that 2017 soybean production to $275 instead of $250. So this is basing it off of satellite data. The field actually went 63 bushel. So now once we've created our 2017 soybean production scenario and our 2017 corn production scenario, based off of the representative yields. We will then compare these scenarios together side by side. On the left-hand side, we will have our soybean production along with our corn production on the right-hand side. So, and once we're done harvesting, we'll upload all of our yield data for 2016 to see the true variability. But here we're comparing a low input crop versus a high input crop, and then the relative input costs, and then also the commodity prices accordingly. And so for us, going back doing another rotation of soybeans split by a cover crop, you can see if we produce 61 bushels again compared to 209 bushels of corn, see the relative cost and total profitability performance per farm. One thing that I do want to change on the soybean production side, since we may be going soybeans on soybeans, I'm going to reduce the yield by about 5%. So created a whole field zone by selecting the Add Zone button. I'm going to name this zone Reduced Yield, and we will pull that back by 5%. And then we'll come back up and compare the scenarios. Compare a new soybean production scenario next to our corn production. On the left-hand side, we're going to have our 2017 corn crop versus our 2017 soybean crop. And now we took about a 5 bushel yield hit per acre. And you can see, well, now corn's starting to look more favorable than running a soybean crop on this field again. So when it comes down to it, it's adjusting the numbers as you see fit, and it's also, for us, it was really dependent on our storage availability. We're actually about 60,000 bushels short on storage. So, and we're teaming this up with our marketing plan for our crop, sell all of our soybeans in the fall, and then hold the corn over to the following June or July when we see fit to sell the grain. So that's how you compare and look at two different crops and selecting the best crop suited based off of financial performance going into 2017. I want to thank you for joining our October 12th PZM Intermediate Planning webinar. Now I'd like to open the floor up for any questions that anyone might have regarding this scenario or scenarios. So I do want to mention that this webinar will be posted on YouTube once it is completed, so you can go back and rewatch us. And please feel free to call me if you have any questions regarding these scenarios, or shoot me an email. We can set up a one-on-one webinar and work through these specific scenarios on your own farms, on your own fields, so you can see which crop would be best suited for you in 2017. If there is no more questions, I want to thank everyone for viewing this webinar and see you next week. Goodbye.